back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sue of Bendnstretch with Sue. In today's video, I'm taking you through a 1-hour Pilates practice, and it is one that I filmed from a live Zoom class with my participants. In this one, we are using weights again, and I have a mixture here of 10 pounds, 5 pounds, and 2 pound weights. Now you can use whatever you have available, and you can also do this practice very easily without weights. So the weights are just an option to challenge yourself a little bit more, particularly if you've been practicing for a while. It's always nice to change up the practice and just confuse the muscles a little bit so they work a little more efficiently, a little bit harder for you, and you can see the results of that hard work that you put into your practice. So without any further ado, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the like button, the notification bell, so you'll know when I upload new content, and you can check it out and check me out in the next video. Let's get going. Feet flat on your mat. Make sure your weights are nearby, and even here you may, if you are using a blanket for some extra cushion, you may find that you want to have it underneath the back of your pelvis, or even under the back of the head. That can be helpful too, because when you're in neutral, you do want to avoid having your chin pointed up in the air or tucked in too much at this point. You just want to have your forehead and your chin relatively level. You also want to have the pelvis nice and level, and as you bring the arms at your sides, we're going to focus on taking a few breaths. Now, if you want to have the hand on your abdomen, you can go ahead and do that, breathing in through your nose to inflate the belly, and make sure that you relax all the way down to your pelvic floor. When you exhale, allow it to move out, breath moves out through your softened jaw so you can open the mouth. So breathing in through your nose and breathing out through the mouth. Next time that you exhale, firm the belly to squeeze the breath out. Hold that tension so your powerhouse is now engaged, so that means belly button down to the pelvic floor is nice and firm, and from here we breathe laterally into the chest and into the ribs. We're just going to start off by warming up the body here as we take an inhale, and gently nod the chin as you exhale, reaching the hands forward to peel the spine a little bit away from the mat so the shoulder blades lift off, and then bringing it back down again, inhaling at the bottom and then exhaling to roll your way up. So you're not going very far, you're simply focusing on maintaining your form and holding your powerhouse. I'm just going to let someone in as you keep going and keep working on your form and really feeling the engagement of those muscles so that you do remain nice and solid. And from here, you can bring yourself all the way down. You'll float the legs up into a tabletop position. And let's reach one leg long, and then the other extends as you bring that one back in. So continuing to alternate side to side. You want to really load up the lower abdominals here. When we were rolling up just a few moments ago, we were focusing on the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscles. Now we've got more control in the powerhouse. We're really loading up those abdominals. Bring it back in, and let's combine the two as we take an inhalation and exhale, lifting up and reaching the right leg long. Bring it back in and roll down again. Take an inhale and switch sides. Now you can continue with the alternating. Make sure your gaze is forward because the chin is tucked in. You're not looking at the ceiling as you come up. Continue alternating, or if you want a little extra fire here, you can reach both legs long and bring them back down again. Inhaling and exhaling. So you should start yourself Feeling the heat building in your core. And that linking of exhale on effort, breathing in when it is easy. Bring it back, hold it here, hands at your sides, plant the feet down and lift it up into a bridge. Reaching the pelvis upward, getting a really nice alignment from your collarbones right through to your knees. Breathe in and then breathe out. Start from the top, rolling and articulating your spine 100 at a time all the way to your mat. Breathe in at the bottom, lengthening your tailbone as you exhale to peel from the bottom, working your way up to the top. So we'll move through a few more like that, really bringing the focus now into the posterior chain. As we warm up the glutes, we warm up the hamstrings. We also continue to warm the spine. So we did that when we were curling up from that supine position, and now we are creating the same sort of curling motion, but we're doing it in reverse. So we're really getting that spine nice and warm. We'll do one last one here. Hold it here, and then coming down all the way down. From here, we'll open up the arms nice and wide as you float your legs back to a tabletop position. If you need a little extra support, you can goalpost the arms or bring the backs of the hands down as you keep yourself in that form. Breathe in here, breathe out, let the legs come over to the right side. Make sure your left shoulder blade is staying down, and then breathe in to bring it back up. So we're moving pretty slow as we warm things up here, but this gives you a chance to really make that mind-body connection. That's going to help you with your form, because you don't want your form to suffer, to get sloppy, as you start to add some weights to the movement. So even if you don't use the weights, they're totally optional. Even if you don't use them, once you start adding in movement of your extremities, reaching the limbs long away from the core of your body, you don't want to be compromising your form and not paying attention to that mind-body connection. Then bring it back up here and then release. Stretch the legs long, stretch the arms long, and take a full inhale here. As you bring your feet back to your supine neutral position, I'm going to reach. I want to make sure I have all my weight options handy here. And I'm going to come back to that supine position, and beginning with my medium weights here, as I take them up over my chest, over my shoulders. So my knuckles are facing each other. My heels are fairly close to my bottom so that my knees and ankles are stacked. Center back of my head is pressing down. Take an inhale, lengthen the tailbone, lift up, and hold this form. From here, we curl outwards. So it's as if you're hugging a big tree here. You're opening up your arms nice and big and bringing those knuckles back to face each other. They're not actually touching at the top. They are just facing each other. If you find that you need to drop the weight, you go ahead and just use your own resistance. Make some muscles with your arms if you're not using weights, and firm them up. Now, if you are using weights, still firm up those arms, because overall we're using pretty light weights here, and we just really want to use them to help us to focus more on our form. Let's do one last one and bring them back. Lower your spine back down again. You can keep holding the weights up. If you need a little break, bring them down. Take a moment to reset, press through the pressure points in the mat. From here, take an inhale, lengthen your tailbone, peel it off again. Squeezing those glutes, we want to activate them. We're going to keep the elbow above the shoulder as we bring the weights toward the forehead, and then bring it back up again. So
Breathe in when it's easy, breathe out when it is difficult. Now make sure that you are squeezing the inner thighs toward each other. Try not to move your upper arm, but maintain the movement from your elbow down. So it's the forearm that's moving as we target those tiny little muscles at the back of the arm. We're targeting the triceps, we're targeting the glutes, we're targeting the hamstrings. Breathing in at the top. Breathe out as you bring it down. You're going to feel your powerhouse working hard here. You're going to feel the quads probably working as well. So the back of the legs are working, the glutes, but the fronts are working too. The inner thighs are working here to draw toward that midline. Last one. Bring it up, lower your back, and bring yourself back down again. So taking your medium weights or maybe your heavier weights, I'm going to switch it up to heavier weights, and I'm going to place them right above, right around the hip crease. So holding the weights here in place, resetting my form, making sure that my feet are the same distance apart. Take an inhale, lengthen the tailbone again, lift it up into the bridge, and peel your way back down again. Breathe in and peel the back away as you lift up. So you really want to feel yourself powerfully engaging the muscles as you lift up. Make sure you're breathing. Don't hold your breath. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Breathing in, down here, breathing in on your way up. Breathe in at the top, breathe out, come down. On this next one, we're going to hold it at the top. From here, you want to keep drawing those inner thighs toward each other so your knees are pointing straight ahead. Squeeze the glutes a little tighter. You'll feel yourself going up just a tiny bit more. From here, let's pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower it down. You can set the weights aside for now, and maybe we go to some lighter weights, depending what you're using today. And from here, I'm going to bring the weights right to my chest as I lift to bring the legs back to tabletop. From here, bringing the arms up right overhead. Now I want to make sure that I maintain control. I'm not collapsing in the shoulder at all. So there's a soft bend in my elbows. Taking an inhale, and as I exhale, circling out to the sides, lifting up and bringing the weight right behind my right thigh. Bring it back in again. Inhale, exhale, and lift it up. So keep that going. Again, it's slow, but it's controlled. I want you to feel every muscle in your abdomen as you lift yourself up. I want you to be aware of the impact your breath has to help you to squeeze up a little bit more. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's do one more repetition on behind each leg. One more. And bring it back in again. You can keep the legs in tabletop, or if you need to, you can rest them on the floor. Getting ready for our next move as we take the arms nice and long. We're kind of creating a little bit of a diagonal with the arms and the legs here. Taking an inhale, as you exhale, squeeze, bringing those hands toward each other, tucking in, and breathing in to open up again. So double leg stretch here. Breathe in, breathe out. It's all about the control. You're never swinging the limbs. You're never swinging your weights around. You're always very, very deliberate in the execution of your movement. Tucking the chin is going to help with the neck. Now, should you find that your neck gets tired, you can just work the legs and the arms. Over time, those muscles around the neck get stronger, but take the breaks when you need them. Be kind to yourself, even though you are challenging yourself. One last one here. And bring it all the way back down again. So we're going to move back to our heavier weights if you're using them, or you can stay with what you have. I'm going to go a little bit heavier here, my heaviest weights, because we're taking back to the posterior chain. We've got some big muscles back there, so I really want to load them up. Now, as I press through the center back of the head, get that chin, forehead level, press through the feet. I'm going to take an inhale, lifting up the hips again, but this time I'm lifting up on the balls of the feet, staying up. Heels are lifted as high as I can get them. Breathing in and breathing out. Now you might want to bring the feet in a little bit closer to get even more focus on those glutes. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out to lift it up. And a few more here. Really controlling, powerhouse is on. Feel strong when you're doing this. Feel the power that you get from using those big, large muscles. The glutes, they're the biggest muscles in our body, so we really want to develop them. And that's going to make all of your movements so much more effective. Last one. Bring it all the way down. From here, we're going to bring the heels down, pressing, lifting up your toes. So again, you might have to scoot the feet in a little bit closer. Reset the back of the head and pull those toes towards you. Lengthen your tailbone and lift it up. Lower it down. Breathing in and breathing out. So we have another 6 here. So take your time to feel each and every vertebral joint in your spine, peeling away and returning to the mat as you move up and down. Feel that squeeze in your glutes. Know that you're getting stronger, because the more you get used to making that mind-body connection with those large muscles, even when you're doing something as simple as walking, you're going to feel them firing. It's important. That's going to take the load off of your joints, preserving those joints. Your joints are meant to last you a lifetime, but you really need to use the muscles around them to ensure that they do. Now, last one. Come on up. One last time. And bring it back. From here, we're going to take the feet wider. So if you need to drop your weights or go to lighter ones, go ahead. We're taking the feet wider. We're going to bring the toes just slightly turned out and lifting up into another bridge here. We're doing 10 more of these. Squeezing at the top. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out. So this is a different way of targeting those muscles. We could be doing squats, which would target our glutes, our quads, and our hamstrings, as well as our core. So we're just changing it up, just mixing it up a bit so that your body doesn't get so used to doing the same thing all the time. You don't want your body to go on autopilot. You want to change it up. You want to keep it guessing, a little bit of muscle confusion to really help them to fire in the most effective ways possible. So let's do the last 3. And 2. Really squeeze at the top here. And last 1. From here, we're going to take either the medium weights or the light weights. I think I'm going to go with medium. Bring the legs back to tabletop position and just holding the weights at your chest. Bring the soles of the, you're going to start off with the inner edges of your feet together in tabletop. You're going to curl up and bring the soles of the feet together as you reach the legs away, and then bring them back in again to your tabletop. Breathe in and breathe out. So they're kind of like frog legs that come back together. You're peeling them away as you lift up and reach and squeezing back in together. Holding that weight, or you could do this without weight for sure. When you bring the legs together, try as best as you can to keep your knees stacked over your hips. It's easy to have them sneak over your belly, but try to keep them instead just right over the hips. It makes your powerhouse have to work a little bit harder. And last one, bring it back in and lower the feet and set your weights aside. Give yourself a nice big opening through the arms. You can wiper blade your legs side to side here, just give your back a little bit of a release. And from here, we are going to take a hold of either your light weights, your medium weights, whatever you have available, it feels right to you. We're going to extend the legs long. Now, as you extend the legs, you want to keep this in a neutral spine alignment, so your powerhouse is active and the pelvis is level. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to curl your way up. So try to stay rounded, and we're going to round right over those weights at the top, and then slowly roll your weight back down again. Breathing in at the bottom, breathe out, really rounding here to activate those abdominal muscles. Pull the belly to your spine and roll it back down again. Now, if you can't roll all the way up, you just come up to wherever you need to. So that would be your modification. Maybe you're only coming up where you're peeling your shoulder blades off the mat, and that's sufficient for you to really feel everything working. And maybe you don't have the strength, you could drop your weights and just work on that roll up. And this time is going to be our final one as we make our way up. If you need to, roll through your side and come on up to join us into a seated position. We're going to take the feet a little bit wider than hip width, so more to the outer edges of your mat. You're going to hold your weights at your chest. I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter here. And as you continue to hold on to them, you want to keep the chest nice and proud, and press your sit bones firmly into your mat. Breathe in, breathe out, and turn. Turn your body so you're turning from your waist. Your ribs are turning. Breathe into the middle and breathe out. Turn to the other side. And inhale, center. Exhale, twist. So you want to keep your shoulders directly over top of your hips. Your ears are going to stay directly over top of your shoulders. So everything is really nicely stacked. And you're working your obliques here to really support the midsection of the body. The powerhouse, of course, is always on. That's what's going to help you to stay rooted in your place. And bring it all the way back. So you can set the weights aside for now. We're going to make our way onto the hands and knees.
Now, as we come on to hands and knees, if you are using hand weights, you can actually bring the hand weights at the top of the mat or underneath your shoulders is what you're going to want to do in order to have something to grab a hold of. So if you struggle with your wrist pain at all, discomfort, this is a really nice way to keep the wrist in a neutral position so you're not putting strain on it. Reaching your head forward, we're going to lift the right elbow and then kick it back. Bring it back in, lower, lift, and kick it back. So try to keep your hips level as you do this. The tendency can be to kind of twist to the left side because you have the left arm down supporting you, but try to remain really, really square and really well supported through your powerhouse, that whole abdominal wall, even the muscles in your chest, your lower back, your upper back. They're all working like a girdle of muscle to keep you supported. Hold it here and then bend and reach. Bend and reach. Try to keep your elbow nice and still. It's tucked into the side of your body. And we're going to do another 3 kickbacks. So again, make sure they're controlled. You're not swinging the weight. Last one. And bring it down. Take a little stretch back here. Reach the hips back. You can bring the forehead down. Take a few breaths there, and then we're going to switch it up and come on to the other side. So from here, let's bring, I'm just going to turn around so you've got a better visual of my elbow. And we're going to start off. So you can have your whole hand on the mat if you prefer that, especially if you're not using a weight. If you're not using a weight, you're just going to have your hands planted underneath your shoulders, and you're going to tense up that arm to activate your tricep. So hips under, or knees under your hips, and head reaching right out of your spine, lifting and reaching. So bend and release. Controlling that movement. So even when you bring the weight toward the mat, you are placing it there. You're not dropping it. You're not losing the control. It's always about staying control. Now your right arm that's grounded on the mat or on your weight, make sure that it is not hyperextended. You want to have some softness in that elbow. And again, try not to twist. You want to keep both of your shoulders facing your mat. So one more time. And this time we're going to lift it up. Hold it here as you extend and bend. Reach and bend. Again, you're controlling as you reach. You're controlling as you bring it back. Breathe in when it's easy. Breathe out as you control. Let's do another 3. Watch that right arm. Don't let it hyperextend on you. Last one. And bring it down. Again, take a big stretch here. Intend those hips back. And release. So now moving on, I have a little bit of a treat for you. And we're not going to use any weights at all, but you are going to be challenged. I have my trusty timer set aside here. We're going to come into my famous 5-minute plank. Now planks are so effective. They work your transverse abdominis, they work all of your abs, they work your glutes, they work your legs. So it's a whole body exercise. Now while you're holding, you've got options, of course. You can take a stretch, stop when you need to stop, but you want to come back to the plank of your availability. So if you're doing it from your knees, go ahead, that's fine. We're going to do it from the forearms, which makes it a little bit more tolerable, but be sure that you're not collapsing in your shoulders either. So you want to stay really open through the chest. Even think about as if you're trying to squeeze the shoulder blades toward the middle of your back, and that's going to keep that chest open and the upper back nice and flat, so you're not tenting your shoulder blades, which is something that I see sometimes. Now I'm going to just show you, we're going to start off in the plank either from toes or knees. You want to make sure that you're fired up, and we're going to start with a hovering plank. Then we're going to move to one side. You can bring the bottom knee to the floor if you need to. Then we're going to come back to our regular plank. Then we're going to move to the other side, and then we'll have our grand finale right here. So you want to make sure that you are checking in. The key as well as form is breath. So if you're breathing smoothly, you are going to be just fine. I'm going to talk you through it. So let's get ready. Everyone set and begin. We are starting off with our hover. Now you can bring your feet maybe a little wider than hip width, and that can be really helpful for you to feel more balanced, more solid. Make sure you're not collapsing into one shoulder or into the other, because that's going to make it really uncomfortable. You don't want to have pain at any point. The only pain you have is the one between your two ears. So let that go, breathe it out, and try to slow down your breathing. So see if you can stretch out your exhales, and that is going to allow you to really pace yourself and bring your concentration to keeping the oxygen flow in your body. And that peace that brings is going to help you to manage through it. So we're just about done with this one. You can get your right forearm ready to turn onto your side, and you can extend your top arm up. Now again, the legs can stay stacked here, or you can bring your bottom knee to the floor. You could also stagger your feet if that makes it a little bit easier. Sometimes that can be easier for your balance. So if that's your best option, go ahead. You can keep reaching that arm up, and that really gives you a sense of pulling away from the bottom shoulder so that you don't feel as if you're collapsing into it. Make sure you're breathing. Lift your hips up a little bit higher. Will help you to really fire up your core that much more. You don't want to be collapsing down. That's going to be really, really difficult. So pull in your belly button to your spine. Feel your powerhouse working. Drop to the knee if you need to, and you take your breaks when you need them. So that way you can come back. So we're already here. Let's come back to our neutral plank. We're here for one more minute as it's almost like a recovery now because we have more area in contact with the mat. As we maybe give the head a little shake. Make sure there's no tension building up in your neck at all. Keep reaching through your heels as well as the top of your head. Breathing here. Again, drop to your knees if you need to. Make sure you're smoothing out your breath. Relax your jaw. That's going to help with your breathing. I try to bring my breath down to about 5 breaths per minute. Sometimes I can do 4, and sometimes it's 6. But that kind of gives you a count that you can use to navigate through. We're flipping over to the left forearm. So same thing here. Reaching up, lifting those hips up, holding it, looking up. Focus on your breathing. The good news is, when we come back to our hovering plank after this one, we only have 1 more minute left and we're done. So you'll be through. You're already well past the halfway mark now. Keep lifting those hips up. See if you can look up to your top hand. That's going to help you to keep your chest open as well. Adjust your feet. Bring your bottom knee to the floor if you need to. We're just about there. Just a little bit more. I think you could probably do 1 full, smooth, slow breath here, and then we would be ready to make our switch right about now. Take it back. So we're into our final minute already. Adjust your feet. Drop down to your knees if you need to. Hang in, don't leave me now. Keep those legs fired up. Just a little bit longer. You are doing it. Everybody's always kind of shocked when we first do this, thinking that it's almost an impossible feat, but it really isn't, especially when we mix it up with the side plank, not just holding in one position the entire time, even though we're getting a lot of work in that core, just by being still. So we're down to our final 10 seconds. So see if you can slow down your breath. Take your time on your exhale. And we are just about done right now. Bring the knees to the mat, bring your hips to the mat. And bring the arms at your sides, bring your ear to the mat and rest easy here. Just give yourself a few moments of easy recovery. And bring the other ear to the mat. And as you bring the tip of your nose to your mat, let's bring the hands outside the ribs. Draw the elbows in, inhale, and exhale to press it up. And take it back into child's pose. Nice stretch to the spine here, to the glutes. And from here, we move back to our table position. Now you can keep your hands on your weights, or you can have your left hand right onto the mat, or keep holding on to the weight if you prefer it. I'm going with my lighter weight with the other hand as we bring the arm right by the ear and then bring it in. So the palm is facing the ceiling when I bring it in. It's facing the floor when I reach it away. Bring it in, elbow tucks in and reach. Squeeze and reach. Keep the neck nice and long. Keep the belly pulled in. And this time we hold it out. Hold it here. Make sure you pay attention to the form in your upper body. We're just going to do teeny tiny little pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring it down. Let's switch it around to the other side. Come on back to your table. Really fire up that powerhouse core. Reach the head forward so your neck is nice and long. And when you're ready, you're going to reach, palm faces down and palm faces up. Extend and bend. Reach and squeeze it in. In when it's easy, breathe out when you're working hard. Again, always making sure that the supporting arm is not hyperextended. That's really, really hard on the joints. So you almost want to feel like you have a little tiny micro bend in your joint. So last two. This time as we extend, we hold it extended. We're going to pulse it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. Push it back. So you can bring the arms alongside your hips here. Turn the palms up. Squeeze the forehead in a little closer so you can get more rounding. And then slowly unroll. So once again, if you have hand weights, bring them to the top portion of your mat. From here, you want to have them in front of your shoulders rather than under your shoulders, because we're coming into a downward facing dog or inverted V. from here, we're going to lift the right leg up. Keep your hips nice and square as you bring the knee in and step the foot right outside of your right hand. Reach it back again, making sure that your arms are nice and long here, belly comes towards your left thigh. Bend the knee and step it outside your right hand. When you step it outside, notice my hips are nice and level and they are staying in line with my body. So they're not popping up like this and they're not collapsing like this either. So you want to keep them right in the middle. Reach it back, inhale. Exhale, step it in. Inhale, reach it back and squeeze that breath out as you step and reach. Great for mobility of the hips. Great for, once again, activating that whole core. The arms are working here as well. And last one. This time we reach it back, we float it down, and we switch it over. Other side, inhale. Exhale, step it in. Inhale, reach. Everything nice and long, nice and level. Reach and step. Reach, step, and step. You might find as you repeat this, your range of motion improves. You might be able to step that foot a little closer. As you bring it all the way up, level your hips and step the other foot in. From here, we come into a nice squat. So you can bring your weights a little further forward here and lift the chest and press the hips up into a forward fold. Sink the hips nice and low. Make sure your toes are pointed out slightly and lift the hips. Bend and lift. So again, you inhale when it's easy. You take a breath in right here. Exhale as you press those hips up. Breathe in and breathe out. And again, one last time. Hold it here in your squat. Maybe you can bring the arms up. Add some little wee pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands down. Walk your feet in and unroll your spine. Coming all the way up. And bring the shoulders right up to your ears and roll them well away from the ears. You might even shake things out a little bit, making sure that you're nice and loose through the collarbones, the neck, and the shoulders. Now, what I would invite you to do is to find a wall near you. So wherever that is, hopefully there's one where you can still see the screen. And as you come to the wall, I'll also invite you to pick up either your lightest weights, your medium weights, and we're going to bring ourselves right up to the wall. You might want to have your, depending what kind of floor surface you have, you might want to bring your mat in a little bit closer as well in order to give you a little bit more traction. So you're going to bring yourself right close to the wall, bending your knees, and we're going to come into a wall sit. Now, we want to aim to getting our knees and our hips in the same line. You can bring the weights right by your hips, and from here, we're going to curl in, activating that bicep and release. Switch sides, curl it in and release. Alternating side to side, pressing into the wall with your back. So the back of your pelvis is pressing into it, and your shoulder blades. Bring the head to press into the wall also. Side to side. Let's do another 2 on each side. Keep breathing for 1, 2, 1 with each arm, and bring it down and push yourself away. Woo, legs on fire. You can set the weights aside, shake out the legs a little bit, and from here, we roll out the shoulders. You can reach for one of your feet, give it a good stretch as you lengthen through your hip flexor as well as your quad muscle. Hold on to that wall if you need to. Let's switch it over to the other side. Open up through the chest, stay nice and tall, stay active through your powerhouse, and then release it. Come on back to your mat, and you want to have enough space behind and in front, and from here we're going to pick up the weights that make the most sense to you. At this point, as you start to get more fatigued, you might start to aim toward some lighter weights. So this is where we're going to finish up the work today, and then we're going to move down into some stretches. So last round of work, you're going to begin with the weights at your sides as you step back with the right foot, and from here we're going to bend and bring those weights up to the shoulders. As you move forward, you're going to bend the knee in front, reach the leg long, as well as the weights come up, bring them down, step it back, and dip down. So lift, reach, bend, and step it back. So this is a good one for exercising your balance, your stability. Again, even though you're moving with the weights, you want to make sure that you're not throwing the weights, you're always controlling. So there's lots to think about in this exercise. You've got stabilizing, you've got the holding on to the weights, the moving of the weights, the extension of the leg, of the arms. So we'll do 2 more repetitions with this leg. And last one, 1 time through. And reach it up and bring it down, ready for the other side. And that will bring us to our stretching time. So feet under hips as you begin. Let's reach it back with the opposite leg. Bend, lift, and bring it up. Reach it forward, bring it down, step it back, and hold those weights at your sides. Bring them up now. Reach and reach back. You'll find one side most likely is much more challenging to balance on. So you might have to do a toe tap in between as you hold on to those weights at your sides. Woo. The more your brain starts to work, you might get a little bit confused. So not only do you have muscle confusion going on, you have a little bit of brain confusion going on at the same time. Make sure that leg is well controlled as you reach it out in front of you. And again, we're down to the last 2 already. And that was 1. We've got 1 more from here. And bring it in. Shake that out. And you can set your weights aside. We are done with those. So from a standing position, you can stand at the back of your mat as you sweep the arms up. Big, beautiful circle to look up, inhaling, exhaling to fold. Let yourself dangle here so you create some really nice traction in the spine. Adding hands to opposite elbows is going to help you to create a little bit of swaying from side to side. A little bit of forward and back. And as you soften the knees, you can slowly unroll yourself And bring the shoulders up to the ears. A big circle again. Lean back to open the front lines of your body. Dive down and soften here. Again, soften the knees. Little sway side to side. Little forward and back. Unroll yourself one more time, taking your time so you are deliberately stretching through the back. Inhale, reach up. Lean back, little back bend. Swan dive down to your forward fold. And let's walk the hands away to come into a downward dog. And from here, we'll lift on the balls of both feet to take it into a plank. Sink your hips in this one. Open the chest. Press it back. Downward dog. Move it forward to your plank and sink the hips. Bring the knees down. Bring the big toes together, part your knees, and slide the hips back. As you lift your head up off your mat, take your left arm, reach it through to your right side, and just let yourself release onto that left shoulder, left ear. Maybe the right arm reaches up and extends. Maybe it wraps around your low back as you look up toward the sky. And then switch it around. Reach your left arm long. Take that right hand and reach it through. Standing out. Again, you can leave it like that or reach up with your left arm, look up. Wrap it around the back, looking up. And release it. Bring the hands underneath your shoulders. And from here we come into some cat-cows to really massage all of our spine from the tailbone right to our neck. Breathing in and breathing out. As we come back to this neutral position, step your right foot forward and bring one hand on either side of the foot to frame it. Now you can bring that foot a little further forward perhaps so that we stretch into that left hip flexor. The hands can make their way up, pressing away from that front thigh, reaching up. Bring the hands together, interlace the fingers for steeple hands, and then just add a little bit of a lean back here. Breathe in and breathe out. Hands come down. Press through the heel. Lift your toes up to really get into that hamstring. From here, we'll keep the leg as it is and kickstand the left leg as you turn sideways, reaching into this long side angle. Keep pulling the toes towards you and then plant them down so you get a good stretch in the outer ankle and circle that back around again. Bring your knee in. From here, we reach back with the left leg, step it forward. Again, framing that foot with both hands so that you make your way into that nice long, low lunge. Press into that front foot, reach up. Bring the hands together into lace for steeple hands. Press into your front foot. Square the hips, open the chest. Breathe in to get long. And breathe out, hands come down. Press away. Send your hips back. So you melt your belly towards your leg. And then lift the toes away from the mat. You bring the belly towards your thigh, walk the hands to the inside of that leg, kickstand the back leg, and bring one hand under the shoulder, reach with the other arm, and take it alongside the ear. Pulling the toes towards you, flipping them down, and circle it all the way down to come back to all fours. From here, we move back. This time we come into classical child's pose. Bring the forehead a little bit closer to the knees. As you slowly unroll yourself, come on up to either sitting in cross-legged, possibly sitting onto your heels, such as I am, or maybe stretching the legs out long in front of you. We're going to focus on the upper body. So take a big open stretch through the arms, turn the thumbs down, press the hands further back, and then bring the hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Press your chest open and breathe in. Lift the hands away from your lower back. Breathe into that chest, into your shoulders, and then release the arms down. Roll out the shoulders a few times. Be kind to those shoulders. As you inhale, bring the arms up. And from here, take your right arm in front of you and wrap your left one around it. Now you've got options. You could bring hands to opposite shoulders. You could wrap that left arm right around the right one. Bring the palms together. And from here, maybe it's the back of the hands if you can't quite get the palms together. You're lifting your elbows up, but you continue to drop your shoulders down. You breathe in to get a little bit more space, a little bit more height, and then you breathe out to get a little bit more softness in the shoulders and the neck. Breathe here. Let go of whatever tension you're holding on to, and then unwind, release it. Sweep those arms wide open again, bring them up. Bring the opposite one in front first. Wrap the other around, so it should be opposite. Should feel right away a little bit awkward from what it was. And from here again, you've got option, hands to opposite shoulders, palms together, backs of the hands together. Lift up those elbows, drop those shoulders. Ease into some height. Softness into the mouth, the jaw. All the muscles around your eyes soften. And unwind it. Again, scrunch up the shoulders to your ears, melt them away. Repeat that a couple more times, really letting go of all and any tension. And from here, let's do one final stretch for the triceps as we bring one hand between the shoulder blades, the other hand guides that elbow down, the hand down the back, pressing the chest open, still breathe in, and then breathe out, switch, other side, open it up, press the back of your head into the arms. That's really going to help you to feel more open. And then release it. Bring the ear to the shoulder, other ear to the shoulder. Inhale to the center, exhale, turn your gaze, breathe back into the middle, exhale, turn your gaze in the opposite direction. And take a moment to just appreciate the hard work that you've done this morning. And as we bring our practice time to conclusion, we just take a big stretch, a big breath in, just fresh energy filling you up. Hands land at your heart, appreciating all that you've done, appreciating the fact that you showed up on the mat. Namaste.